Good afternoon and welcome to this meeting of the Auburn Rotary Club. And now I'd like to start the proceedings for the mayoral candidate forum. We have two candidates for mayor of Auburn, Nancy Backus and John Partridge. The mayoral candidate format will be each will have an opening statement of 2 minutes each. We will have a series of questions of 90 seconds each, and then we'll have closing statement for 2 minutes each. There's already been a random toss of a coin, and John Partridge will start first. So Nancy and John, if you'd come and take seats up here, we'll get started with that proceeding. And Bob Hardy, you're taking care of timing, so you've got the bell back there, so thank you. So you may start when ready, John.
Okay. Well, good afternoon. Thank you for having me out here. The first thing that people want to know when they usually meet me for the first time is what I envision for the city. And I want you to know that I envision Auburn as emerging as a destination, not just a place to pass through. A destination for healthy families and the businesses that would serve those needs. When I finished college, my wife and I were looking where to locate our family. Auburn was that destination for us. It had great schools, a small, sensible government. It had an active downtown. It had well-maintained roads, and most importantly, had safe neighborhoods. And my children are gone now and raised out on their own. And it surprised my wife and I that they didn't see Auburn the way we did 20 years ago. It really let me know how much Auburn had changed and what we need. And that's what motivated me to get into public service. And the question I have is, should my children expect anything less than my wife and I did, for my future grandchildren? And should Auburn residents expect anything less? And I think the only reason they'd expect less is if our local officials somehow got complacent and forgot what their basic priorities were. So as we move forward, I think we need to look at what we've done, where we've been going, and move to a better future. I think we're at a point where opportunity invites change. And the shiny little city, not small anymore, that my wife and I came to love with is a dream that many people still have. And we can have it if we're responsible and responsive to people. I think plans made for people look and sound a lot different than those sometimes that entrenched insiders can get, and where we forget who we're serving. So you're here today to hear some things. And I think as Auburn residents, business owners, you deserve the best. And as mayor, I want to give that to you. So thanks for having me here today.
Nancy, go right ahead.
Good afternoon. My name is Nancy Backus, and I want to be your next mayor. I have lived in the city of Auburn most of my life, and I am proud to say I'm from Auburn. Is Auburn perfect? No. Is any place perfect? No. If you found it, you'd probably be there. But I would say Auburn is a great place to be from and to be proud of. We weathered the economic storm incredibly well because of the difficult decisions that were made early on when we saw that the economy was not looking good. Now, you can call that entrenched if you want to. I call it experienced and strong and courageous to make those difficult decisions. That's what I bring to this position. I'm currently your deputy mayor. I'm looking forward to removing just one word from that title. That's all I want, just one word. Most people want to extend their titles. I want to just remove one word from it. I am ready to make those difficult decisions. I am a compassionate professional. I am known for my consensus building. I like to get other people involved in the process. But I'll tell you what, at those difficult times, I am able to make those decisions based on facts, all of the information that's available at that time. We'd all love to have a rear view mirror or a crystal ball, but we don't have that luxury. So you need someone as your mayor that's willing to make those difficult decisions at a time when you have all of the facts that you're going to get. We don't have that luxury of waiting. Our city deserves someone that's strong, that loves the city, and is willing to work for for you. And that's me, Nancy Backus. I am asking for your vote. I am doing everything possible to earn your vote. Thank you.
Thank you. So now we'll start into our questions. For Nancy, to start, since we're alternating the order of responses, Auburn is the home of one of the greatest symphony orchestras in the entire state. It has also depended on financial assistance from the city of Auburn. As mayor, will you continue to support the cultural arts in the city as in the past?
That is such a simple question to answer. The answer is yes. We are known in Auburn for our culture, for our cultural arts. The symphony is just a gem in that crown that we call the arts crown of Auburn. I am so proud. There was a great show just this past weekend, and it brings a lot of people, not just Auburn people. It brings people from all over our region. It's very well known, and I am proud to say that they're from Auburn. We've talked about 1,000 nights of entertainment in Auburn. Well, we've got a little ways to go, but we have a great start. And I am fully supportive of continuing to support the arts in Auburn. And if that means financial support, then we look to make sure that it's in the budget. We take care of our needs first, but then we look and see what is best for the city of Auburn, and absolutely I'm supportive of those arts.
Thanks. John?
Yeah, we see that very similarly. I am very supportive of the arts. I remember being as a parent. I remember at times wondering if, when you're a young parent, if the arts are going to come in front of putting groceries on the table, and that was always the mainstay. And to see that our city has taken, or really our council, the mayor carries out the decisions of the council, and to see that our council has backed the symphony, I've been there and participated and encouraged the arts, I think is something we need to obviously continue. We need to look at other groups that we can continue to pull in. We just did a review on the finance committee of that, how much we're investing in the promoting of these arts, the city, and it was nice to hear that consensus. So as the mayor, I would obviously be pushing that, continued lobbying that, encouraging the council to continue to make budget for that. Of course, it isn't a need, it's a want. So is that part of my platform is putting our needs before our wants, but keeping that in line, we would be seeing it. I've talked to the director of the symphony and said, what can we do to fully involve our children? I mentioned the testing that's going on. They were saying that there's a lot of times where we have spots in the symphony that are not seats that aren't filled. And I said, what can we do to get more kids involved and to see this grow? So I would support it, encourage it, and just keep our needs ahead of that and make sure that our wants are met. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next question to start for John. Question for both, but how do you propose to fund the repair and ongoing maintenance of the city's arterial and local streets?
Well, you're talking to the finance chair here now, so I have looked at that very seriously. Our roads are our connectors. They connect people and they move commerce, and they have to be moved up as a top priority, as I spoke earlier. The number one place I would go is to our general fund. I have watched our general fund grow 6 out of the last 6 years. We've budgeted very conservatively. We've projected a loss over the last 6 years, losses out of each of the last 6. But we've actually, when you get down to the year end, we get our final numbers, we have actually grown our checking account, our general fund, and our cumulative reserve. And so I would start there. That cumulative reserve and checking account is now, we're looking at topping about $25 million in that account. The council directive is that there be no less than $4 million. So I think we have money to get started on roads right now. Dennis Dowdy, our director, wants $4 million a year to work on preservation. I think we could release that right away without hurting any balances and to get things started on the move. That can't happen indefinitely, but then we have to continue to look for the roads, the grants from state and federal agencies that are available. We need to continue to push on those, like what just happened out at West Valley Highway. And then we need to get inventive. When people see that we've been responsible with what we have and transparent with what we have, I think then, number three, then if we've done all that, then we can go to the public and say, how much more do we want to do? So those three ways.
Okay, thank you. And Nancy?
So, working on the neighborhood streets and on the arterials look to be two different buckets of money. Right now, we have the Save Our Streets program, which is funded by new construction sales tax. We did go out a measure to the people about 8 years ago for Save Our Streets. And so that's how we're funding that right now, is through that construction sales tax. That's roughly $2 million each year that we are working on our neighborhood streets. That does nothing for our arterials. But I'll tell you where some of that money is. Last year, our council, a vote 6-1, decided to go with the King County court system as opposed to our municipal court. The projected savings going with our King County court system for 2013 is $2.6 million. And next year, the projected savings, as reported by our finance director, is $3.1 million. I asked her for a projection out for about 10 years. Is it safe to say over 10 years we'll be saving $30 million? She said, there are a lot of moving pieces to this, but if you consider most things being equal, yes, that's a $30 million savings over 10 years. Does that cover the $55 million that we were asking for in the bond measure that failed last year? No. But does it cover a good majority of it? Yes. And that's where we'd look first.
Thank you. Next question for both, to start with Nancy. How do you envision the City of Auburn partnering with the Green River Community College to promote economic development and to promote student success and access?
Well, first of all, I would say it's continued partnering with Green River Community College. Very proud of the relationships that we currently have established. And we are looking at one of the new developers in our downtown core providing student housing. Now, it's in the works right now that there would be a contract with Green River Community College to ensure student housing in our downtown core. That's going to bring 150 to 300 people downtown. Some of them will be international students, some will be local students. But that's a great partnership to ensure economic development, because if you talk to a developer wants people before they're willing to build. Now, the people want the buildings before they're willing to come. But we have a couple of catalyst projects right now that are willing to be just that catalyst that's going to bring the people and the businesses together. So partnering with Green River on better ways to promote education, to attract those businesses by saying, we have a community college in our city. We can provide the training that your people that you need to hire need to have. Or we already have that trained workforce because of Green River, and these are the programs that they're already providing. It's a great partnership. We need to continue it. Well, I will strengthen it, but it's not anything new. It's already there and working very, very well.
And John?
Well, one thing this community has said yes very loudly to is education. I mentioned that was one of the reasons why I moved my family here. My daughters attended Green River before as they went out and beyond. So I agree that we have a good working relationship with Green River Community College. It's ongoing. The partnerships, I think of the park that was just built up there and the expansion of their buildings. Kudos to Daryl and his staff. And we need to obviously continue to work on that. But if I was, the mayor is not king, but if I was king for the day and I had any vision that I could help impart to my council, I would say, how do we get a student that starts in our school system, maybe Washington Elementary or Chinook or wherever they are, and how do we take those young minds and have them complete it all right here? I don't like that we get them all the way up to the end, and as my daughters did, had to go out to finish that education. And we send our best minds away. And If I could encourage any long-term vision I'd work with Green River on, it'd be to bring a graduate school here. I know they're expanding, there's some four-year degrees available, but how about a graduate school? Something to help populate that downtown, bring in the money, bring in the minds. Not only keep those students that are here, but bring in the others. And I got that vision as I traveled out with my daughters and saw other communities and how they had done that. And that would just round Auburn out perfectly. With our hospital district we have right there near the downtown, a nursing school or maybe even a veterinary school would be awesome with our work with Washington State University. So that would be some of my vision, how I would work and try to encourage our council to continue to develop that relationship with Green River.
Thank you. Next question for both, starting with John. How will you address or deal with the transient population in the downtown core area of the city?
It's a great question. And it's a complicated question because it's something that's going to take some time. Public safety, my number one priority, needs to be addressed. We started this year with a little over like 86 officers out of the 100 that we had budgeted. The city administration left $1.2 million on the table last year that council allocated for police officers, specifically for our police department, and we didn't fill those slots. We're right now about 800,000 behind, 800,000 in the bank going into this year. We're still not caught up. We are hiring officers, but when we finished the annexations in Auburn, on Westfield and Lee Hill, they were promised 120 officers, and that was negotiated down, and those are tough times, but I think it comes to priorities. We need more officers. We need to get that number up from now 105, it just moved up to that 120. I envision having enough officers or we could actually have a walking beat down on Main Street again. Maybe officers patrolling, not just responding to calls. So I think that's where it starts. And it starts with education of the public is the other part of it, and get them involved in ways like we've done up on the Muckleshoot Reservation Hill. There's been some great things that have happened up here. So education and adding officers I think will be a great start to getting that done. And with our courts, holding people accountable, giving them the resources they need to hold the people accountable and to take care of the problems as they present themselves.
Thank you, John. And Nancy.
First, I'd like to correct a couple of things. Our budget had 100 police officers in it at the beginning of the year. You're never going to have 100 police officers boots on the ground. You're going to have some that are on military leave, educational leave, family leave, or medical leave. So we did have 100 police officers budgeted. And I'm very proud to say that working with my fellow senior council members, we were able to find budgeting for 5 additional officers that we approved earlier this year. And we just had a COPS grant, a federal grant, that's going to allow us to hire 5 more. That brings us to 110 police officers in the city of Auburn. That goes a long way to help with any of the issues with the trouble downtown. In fact, I just had an issue yesterday come up in one of our city parks, and immediately it was responded to by not just our mayor, but by our police chief and by our parks director. It's been cleaned up already. Now, there is still a lot to do downtown, but having those additional police officers will help, but it's also the community outreach. Our police officers do a great deal of community outreach. Some of it can be helped by that community outreach and also providing more human services within our city. Some of those homeless people downtown could be vets, U.S. vets. Now, we have been working very hard to ensure that we find funding to help the veterans in our community, and I will continue that process.
Thank you. Question for both, starting with Nancy. What is your plan for getting the city out of the property holding business and let the market take over?
Well, that plan is already in place. In fact, we will be signing off on the final purchase and sale agreement with Teutsch, which is the last 2 blocks that the city owned. And that is going to be the senior housing and the student housing that I just mentioned that's going to be built downtown. The city of Auburn shouldn't be landlords, landowners, but at the time that we purchased those blocks, there was very, very good reason for us to do that. It wasn't because we just had extra money lying around. It was because we were talking with developers who didn't want to work with 5 or 6 owners of a block in order to try and develop something there. They want to deal with one owner. We had the opportunity to purchase some of those pieces and put blocks together that would make it attractive for a developer to come into town. Now, at that same time, again, if we'd had that crystal ball, we might not have done it because the economy started to turn. But now the economy is coming back, and those blocks that we owned, one has already sold, and 2 are just about to close. It's exciting times in our city. We don't need to be landlords, but it's not an issue because we aren't anymore.
Okay, and John?
The role of government is to provide the concrete foundation for public safety, roads, essential services, and for Daryl's benefit, if possible, the park system and programs. These priorities attract and retain individuals and families and businesses to the community. Businesses follow people, not the other way around. In its essential nature, business responds to markets and markets to people, are made of people. A government's role in creating prosperity is provide the necessary infrastructure for people to prosper. And I think that really sums up how I feel about where we're at in terms of the business being in the business of government. I'm glad to see that we are getting out of that. There was a lot of money spent. I added up almost $40 million that was put into all the programs in that downtown area. And when I look at what the priorities, we need to spread that around. We not need to only be thinking about downtown. We need to be thinking about around town. And with my vision of seeing Auburn as a destination, we need to make it that. Not only do the police officers, like I said, need to be fully funded, we need to have roads that are not only practical, but they need to be attractive. And so that's what I'm glad to see the way it's going. I'm glad to see some of the lessons learned with our role of Doug Lean in the city, who's now trying to pull people together. Us being a bridge to kind of pull the issues together and finding out what we have and what people need, like he did with Orion. That was a good example of where things need to go. I think we're there. Yeah.
And the next question for both, starting with John. Yes. What are your plans for adding parking for those using the Sounder commuter train?
Negotiate, negotiate, negotiate. I mean, we've been working very hard on that. I think the message is out there. We have been excellent regional partners, working very diligently, really under the guidance of Mayor Lewis, how he's guided us on council to be involved and be at the table. We have done our part, and people have made us promises, and we need to hold them to it. We've got excellent representation by our state and national representatives in this area. We need to work those opportunities, and so we need to stay the course and get that second garage built, the things that we need in that way. I think we need, again, to look to our own resources, our own inventive ideas to get that done, but I think we stay the course and we keep at it, and we're going to have a lot of pressure on that with the new construction that's going to occur downtown, and that we want that. So that's how I would hold true to that. Okay,
and Nancy?
So Jenny Earle, who is the executive director of Sound Transit, has been on record lately saying that they do owe us the second parking garage. The issue is funding, not surprising. It's very difficult right now for them to find the funding for that second parking garage. But we will continue to partner with them. We will continue, and as your mayor, I will ensure that that happens, that we are at the table, that we are looking for that funding. But in the meantime, it's not easy to come up with the millions of dollars that it takes to build that parking garage. So in the meantime, we need to look at other opportunities. What can we do to alleviate the parking problem for those commuters? We already have a shuttle that runs from Lakeland down to the parking garage. We've talked recently with the Muckleshoot Tribal Council. They have a shuttle. We're talking with them about partnering to bring that shuttle down the hill into the valley and to the transit station. Now, if that works, why not do one for Lee Hill and for West Hill? Leave your car at home, take the shuttle, and be able to return to your home on that same shuttle. That's an opportunity for us to find a way to mitigate the issues until that money can be found and until that parking garage can be built. Even when the money is found, it's going to take a while to build. It doesn't go up overnight. What do we do for our people in the meantime? We find other opportunities for them so they can continue to take the transit.
Thank you. And next question, starting with Nancy. What is your position regarding the site selection of the proposed King County waste transfer site in the city of Auburn?
I wish I had one of the neighborhood signs that says "No dump in West Auburn." No dump in West Auburn. We don't need that. I've been on the record from very early on in that process, and the council has gone on record as well, voting against having a transit station located anywhere in Auburn. I think there are opportunities for more research by the King County Solid Waste Division to determine whether we really need another $70 million facility. Do we need that in Auburn? There's a brand new one that's opened up Bow Lake in the Tukwila area. Why do we need another one so close? What can we do to mitigate the issues at the current Algona site? We continue to work with Sound Cities and with King County to find the right balance. But I can tell you right now that I do not support, will not support a transit or a transfer station in Auburn. It simply isn't necessary, and we will continue that fight.
Okay. John?
I grew up on the West Hill, and it was really nice to go to some community meetings and to attend when one of the siting meetings that King County put on and interact with the people and listen to their concerns. And one of the things they said just rang true with me, is that they saw it as how King County viewed us here in the city of Auburn. They said, why are they, putting a dump here? Is that how they think of us? They took it personally, and I began to take it personally and look a little bit broader beyond environmental impact statements and traffic concerns. I looked at it personally. I said, we became a city. We took control because we wanted to customize and have a community that we were proud of and want to live in. And so on the 30,000-foot look, I agree with them. We need to really stand up for who we are and what we believe this city is and can be. There's not going to be a dump in a destination city. That's just not going to happen. We're against it. Now, what I'm really proud of is that citizen group, how they've pulled together. We talked a lot about how to work with government, and I think they're doing champion work. I don't think it's going to get beyond its planning stages when it all comes down. So I think this is something we got to have some pride in our community. We got to teach people how to work with it. If it comes down, if there is something that King County is going to push on us, we'll work with our city attorney to see how far we can take it legally. But I'm against it, and I stand with the community, and we don't need that here in Auburn.
Thank you. And next question, first to John. What do you perceive will be your biggest challenge or challenges as mayor of Auburn, and how do you plan to address that challenge or those challenges?
I just think what I bring to this position is something that's fresh. And I'm really excited to come in as mayor and really get to express myself, just to gain the change in role. Will probably be my biggest challenge, is that things have been the way they've been for the 12 years under good leadership with Mayor Lewis, and as I begin to take on this new role, I rolled up my sleeves. I gave my full effort in council and built relationships, got involved at all levels, and I think as I take on that new role and say a new servant leader is here, establishing good, strong branches of government, that I want to see the council really become all that they can be. And I think that's what I'm going to work on. I think that's going to be at least off the charts. The second is just going to be establishing priorities, making sure that the needs in our city come before our wants. I think that's really important, that in police, roads, that we've had a different focus, and I'm going to have to win that over.
Thank you. Nancy?
Well, I'll tell you one challenge I won't have, pardon me, and that's having the support of the City Council. Right now, I am endorsed by 6, because I'm counting myself, 6 of the 7 council members. If I don't count myself, that wouldn't be very good. So I have that support. I have that working relationship already established with our council. That's critical. You don't get anywhere without a council that is supportive and is willing to work with you. I don't call them my council. They're your council. Now, they're mine too because I'm a citizen in the city of Auburn, but they're your council. And we need to work together. So that's one challenge that I won't have. There'll always be challenges. A mayor doesn't get the luxury of sitting back and getting to pick and choose what their priorities are on day one. You can have that list. You can have a whole book full of ideas on what you want your priorities to be. But those change every day because new challenges come your way. There's funding. There are issues with human services. There are opportunities. You have to be flexible, you have to be gracious, and you have to be able to make those hard decisions. Those aren't a challenge to me at all. That's what I do every day in my role at the Boeing Company and in my role as your deputy mayor. Those aren't challenges. I look at those as opportunities, and I will continue to look at them as opportunities as your mayor.
Thank you. Next question to Nancy first. The ratio between businesses and individual citizens of a city is sometimes a delicate balance. What is your approach toward business, and what is the proper balance between business and individual citizens?
Well, I'm not going to sit here and give you a ratio. That wouldn't make any sense. But what we need to have are good businesses. We already have good businesses in Auburn. We have great businesses. But when you provide, when you give incentives for new businesses to come in, then you have a greater opportunity and you're far more attractive for new residents to come in. And that balance just continues to be right and even improve. You also need to maintain and take care of those businesses that weathered the storm with you. Now, we have an awful lot of incentives right now to attract new business. But I think it's only fair and only right that we start looking more in depth at what we can provide for the businesses that are already here. We're limited in the state of Washington by what we can do. Financially, we can't give away money, but we can look for creative ways to help those businesses, to promote them within our city. I'm the chair of the Auburn Tourism Board, and we look at opportunities all the time of how do we bring more people into our area? What do we do to show them how unique we are and the great things that we have available to us? This golf course, the Auburn Avenue Theater, the Muckleshoot Casino. We also have the amphitheater. We have great facilities in Auburn, and that's what brings business and people in. The balance takes care of itself.
Thank you. And John?
I think this goes back to another question I already had. Is it government's role to control this ratio, or how to look at it? Our government's role is to provide police protection, roads and infrastructure, and essential services, and if possible, parks. I think if we need to do our job as government, and I believe the markets will take care of the markets. That if we make this, if we make Auburn and focus Auburn on making it a destination, roads that are attractive as well as practical, police officers that are available and not 10 calls deep. I believe it's going to make this the destination location for families to want to be here, the kind of families that we want, the healthy families and the healthy growing situation. And I think that businesses will respond to that. I've owned a business for 18 years, a family business for 48 years. And demographic is what drives business. And that ratio, the market will take care of that on its own, and it'll balance itself out. And so I think government just needs to focus on their governing and their priorities and watch what business can do. I don't think they need all the incentives. I don't think they need all the draws. I think they will respond to the demographic that we present here in Auburn.
Thank you. So as not to run long beyond our meeting time, we'll now have closing statements of 2 minutes each maximum, starting with Nancy.
Thank you. First, thank you all for being here today. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you and let you know what a shared vision we have for the city is. And when we came in today, Michael Hart gave us Rotary coins, Rotarian coins, and what it says on the back, the 4-way test, is really what our city is all about. The questions: is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? And will it be beneficial to all concerned? That's what your mayor needs to be worried about as well. And that's my focus. I'm really, really proud of the support that I've received in this community. I've received, as I mentioned, the endorsement and support of 6 of 7 council members, 4 of the 5 school board members. I have the support of the Muckleshoot Tribal Council, and I even have current and I have former council members' support and endorsement as well. If you take a look on the mailer that was sent out last week, you'll notice that there is a significant number of diversified support that I've received. Builders, environmentalists, Republicans, Democrats, realtors, and unions. And I'm very, very proud of that support. And not only the support, but what that tells me and what it should tell you is that I have the ability to work across organizations for the betterment of all of us. They realize that I am the candidate that is willing to work with everyone, that I'm willing to share ideas, that I'm willing to share the hard work, and that I'm ready to do that. I'm not beholden to special interests, and that's proof positive by that list of endorsements. You know, it's complex times here in Auburn. We can't afford to go backward with willful and inexperienced leadership. That's why my service, my experience is not entrenched. It is experience. And that's what you need in your city right now, is the experience to continue us moving forward together. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. And John.
4 years ago, I came with a resume of being a lifelong resident, educated, small business owner, and a devoted community servant. I made promises to you that I would bring fresh perspectives, solid values, and common sense to a city council that had seen little change for many years. I fulfilled those promises and devoted myself to learning the business of the city. In my time, I've served on 3 of the 4 main city committees, including the current chair of finance and assisting through 2 budget cycles. I went the extra mile and took advantage of regional and national committee opportunities to expand my connections and knowledge of legislative issues, primarily in the area of public safety. In 2010, when the city faced reduced services and skyrocketing costs for animal control services, I recognized an opportunity. Seeing the need, I created a vision that ultimately formed the Auburn Valley Humane Society with the work of our veterinarians in town, all 7 of them. 3 years later, Auburn has its own animal shelter, an animal control officer, and a place for people to gather and to serve. I am proud to have taken a key role in a winning partnership between the citizens of Auburn, business community, and city government. My vision as mayor is to see Auburn as a destination, not just a pass-through, a place to raise, support a family, and to build a business. Simply put, I want to leave Auburn a better place than I found it, as my father taught us well out in the woods and the wild. My hope is that my children would consider Auburn to be a place that they would raise their families. And I did, as my father did, and as his father before him. There is a Chinese quote that says, "The best leader is one whose existence is barely known. The second best is one who is loved. The third in line is feared, and the worst of all despised. The hope when all is done is that people say, look what we have done. My legacy will be how well others are remembered by my time in office. Thank you for having me today. I've enjoyed every day serving you on City Council and being a resident of this town, and look forward to continue to serve you. Thank you.
And thanks to both of our candidates.